What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another video. I hope you guys are doing great today, and today we're going to be talking about the birch forest and the fireflies. Now, if you're not too familiar with what's going on, essentially Mojang made a video a couple days ago explaining why they're not releasing these features in the wild update. The birch forest and the fireflies will not be coming to 1.19. KingBDogs today on Twitter answered a ton of questions about these two features, what's going on with them, why they didn't have time to introduce them until 1.19, and essentially, he just does an amazing job at explaining what's been happening with these features and the update. So shout out to KingBDogs, he's an amazing person, just one of the coolest people I know on Twitter, so follow him on Twitter for sure. He just always does a great job of communicating with the community. So as always, I want to say thank you guys for the support. If you haven't already, please consider joining the Stealth Army. Click that subscribe button somewhere on this screen, and I'd love to see you around here. So let's go ahead and hop onto Twitter. So KingBDogs starts off by saying, when plans change for an update, I think it's fair to be disappointed or upset. It'd be wrong of me to invalidate those feelings. Recent discussions have me thinking, though, the current environment makes it difficult to show things early that we're not sure of yet. And then he continues by saying, I'm not saying that in a bad way. I think it's a balance to find. On one hand, I do believe the community truly wants to be a part of the process early, but the catch is that plans change and things get pushed back. So I guess my curiosity has been, what is that balance? I think it'll be interesting to think of that balance going forward, but it feels like food for thought for the community too. If we want to work early on these updates together as both devs and fans, we also need to be cognizant that features can be scrapped or changed. It reminds me of a tweet a while back where I said that the trickiest problem of showing off early feature ideas and snapshots is that people get upset when we say that it isn't quite what we wanted and want to remove it. The copper horn is an exact proof of that. Almost always, when a feature isn't being immediately kept in the game, it's because we have a better idea for it when we want to do it properly at a later time. Sometimes, it's also that it just doesn't fit in Minecraft, but either way, they feel justified to make it a better game. Just some ramblings, but I think it's important that regardless of your disappointment, we have healthy discussions together as a community, and treat each other with respect, whichever stance you take. This is probably one of the most important sentences right here because to me, this is what it's all about. It's about the conversations, even if they're not positive, as long as they're productive conversations where we understand the devs and they understand us, I think ultimately it's going to make the game better long term. So yeah, I'm glad he's doing this. And he continues by saying, always remember that for any game, the developers behind it are human too. I will always promote for healthy discussions between devs and community members. It's how we get better games in the end, because we can work together, not work apart. So this is where KingBDogs starts to answer questions, and I'm just going to go ahead and point out that some of these responses and some of these tweets aren't very positive, yet he still answers them. He still takes the time to reply and just do a great job of explaining his perspective, his side of things. I really appreciate that. Starting off with this tweet by Gold Robin. One thing that confused me was that Birch Forest updates was never meant to be a part of the 1.19, if I got it right. Why wasn't that said earlier? It's a bit confusing. And then KingBDogs replied by saying, it's not that it wasn't going to be a part of 1.19. It's that plans changed and we are no longer focusing on it for this update. So it's going in our ideas library, meaning it is up for grabs in any of our future updates. Basically, the birch forest is now in this vault of ideas, which I did make a video yesterday talking about this vault and how many features are in there currently. Some of them were showcased several years ago, some of them were announced in the Caves and Cliffs update, so it's pretty big. I'll have a link down below if you guys want to check it out. So, we got another response by Rook. Is this really where game dev is though? Are we really at the stage where you can't tease things because devs can't get the workload in time? This is happening more in the current years than ever. KingBDogs replied by saying, I would say the pandemic happened. I joined during 1.16 when we were all in the office. It has been challenging to adjust to new ways of working after the pandemic, starting from 1.17 and onwards. So this is exactly why these type of conversations are really important, because a lot of us will never understand what it's like to be a game developer during a pandemic. A lot of us have never developed a game. A lot of us don't understand the issues that they run into working remotely. So yeah, new perspective and just more insight into what goes on behind the scenes. I really appreciate this. So the next response is by Snuff. Maybe people are upset because you're one of the largest companies in gaming, but only seem to release a major update every 2 years. That's not true. Give stupid reasons for not adding things the community wants, and can't find a way to implement 2 pixels into a biome within 6 months. Yeah, we literally got increased world height limit in 1.18. We got seed parity? That's massive. I understand that people are upset, but let's not throw in lies to sort of push this narrative that Mojang is somehow lazy or Mojang doesn't work. Like, that's just not true. That's obviously not true. KingBDogs replied by saying, I'm not blaming you for being disappointed. It's extremely valid, but it doesn't help to say things like, can't find a way to implement 2 pixels in 6 months. It just doesn't work like that. I don't know if you've done game dev before, but it's not about 2 pixels. So this next tweet is by Benja. Okay, so stop showing things that the team, even if it don't know if it's going to release in that date it was announced. So I think Benja's saying to not show concept art or stop showing things that they don't know if it's going to be released. KingBDogs replied by saying, I don't know if you read my thread, but I'm kind of addressing that. Not showing things might mean you don't get a say or get to be a part of that process early. The trade-off is, see things early, get a say, but things might get scrapped. The alternative is see a lot less early. So this next tweet is by Kure. There's no way adding a particle effect takes more than an hour for you all. Make a firefly block and have them fly around. Literally, you did that with the Spore Blossom. KingBDogs replied by saying, well, you'd be wrong on that. You have to implement it on all platforms, Java and Bedrock. Confirm stability with performance, ensure the design is good and fits the game's goals, etc. To be clear, I'm only saying that it would not take an hour. That's just not true. So this next tweet is by Kinjay. It just feels like you guys have been really inconsistent with this stuff recently. You guys didn't have these issues with 1.16, and I would argue it was an absolutely massive update as well. This is a recent trend, and I hope that it gets addressed with more manpower, or something. KingBDogs replied by saying, well, I think it's fair to say the difference between 1.16 and later is that we weren't working during a pandemic for 1.16. Tosca replied and said, frankly, I'm sick of the plans change approach and the infamous Mojang isn't lazy, you can't compare mods to vanilla argument. Your Mojang's thought process is simply inefficient, making you, devs, look incompetent, and that's a shame because your talent is being wasted. KingBDogs replied and said, well, plans do change, and that is just a part of game development. Look at any and every game studio in existence. I have been a modder for 10 years before joining Mojang. I don't think it's fair to compare Mojang's process to modding. They're different for too many reasons. So we are caught up on the tweets right now. This is still going on, so I'm sure KingBDogs is going to tweet out more stuff. If you guys want to see me do a part 2, let me know down below in the comment section. Please support the video with a like. It really helps out the channel, helps these type of videos get discovered so people know exactly what is going on and they just get a window into game development, what happens behind the scenes. I think it's really important that we hear these things, that we understand, you know, the developer side and their perspective, or else people are just going to get angry and they're just not going to get the full story, and that's not helping anybody, right? So I want to say thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. So take care. Peace.